starting it off, I just want to start high level, just like when in one or two sentences. I'll go first, and you guys can follow here. I just want to kind of give instant reaction, and I'm just going to give it right now. I am here for this show. I am already hooked. We're 2 episodes in. I cannot imagine a better way for the MCU to kick back off than this is a mystery, like Mike was saying. This is like Lost type stuff. Like you're having to like pay attention to clues. You're like, where did they come from? Who are these people? And we're all doing this together. And what a way just to kind of ground ourselves in a brand new story, something fresh. It's not like I turned on WandaVision and I felt like, oh, here we go. It's just, Age of Ultron again. No, this is something totally fresh, totally new. I'm loving how it looks. I'm loving the vibes. I love the dark tones that they mix into this world where they really grab you and you find yourself looking at the screen on the close up shots and the hard silences. Really fun. Really excited for the rest of the season. Let's start with you, Giggler. Couple of sentences. What are your instant thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I was skeptical at first of what this kind of theme of the show was going to be, but they knocked it out of the park so far, and I can't wait to see what the next few episodes have look like and feel like. I mean, it took a little bit to get used to it, like the feel and like the vibe of the show, but I mean, honestly, it's really funny. There's a lot of hilarious parts that I kind of didn't count on that happening, considering the Vision's dead. Um, it's like just kind of weird. I didn't see kind of going down that route, but I'm glad they did lighten it up a little bit. But I'm super pumped for the next few weeks to see where this is going. I found myself kind of like craving like advancement of the story, which you're not really gonna get much overall for the whole universe, but right now, anyways. But I'm really excited to see what they do with this.
PC Mike, turn it to you. Instant thoughts, first reactions, if you will.
Yeah, it's something like I've never really seen before, so that's cool. I think my instant reaction is I like people online, the online community, putting clues together for me because I miss a lot of things. And me kind of seeing on Twitter here and there some things and seeing all that makes me appreciate this a little bit more. And yeah, they're adding some different elements. I get a big Pleasantville vibe where the colors coming back. I get a little bit of lost, like with putting clues and things together, not necessarily Lost style, but just kind of that whole internet community coming together to look at different scenes and why is this happening. And I'm sure we'll talk about it later. But little things that they catch that I don't. And I think that's the coolest thing so far. And like Andy said, I like there's some comedy in here that I didn't realize that I would have. Vision doesn't eat, and he tells people that all the time, and they're like, "You don't eat." And it's like little stuff like that's funny. And I didn't think that I would enjoy it as much as I actually did. So hats off, Vision, so far.
So far, yeah, because he's got a redemption road. I even put a nice clip out of you talking about Vision, and every time I watch it, I'm just laughing my butt off. Like, this guy is irredeemable. He's not great.
But yeah, he was good. Like when he was chewing, I know we're on the first episode, but he was like chewing that gum. I mean, that's fun. Like stuff like that.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. I'm so excited to talk about this with you guys. Just watching it, I had that Marvel feeling the whole time. I'm writing notes. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, this is what we've been waiting for on the show. And you as a listener, it's a great time. So want to go ahead and give you a full-on spoiler alert right now. We're gonna have to get a sound bite for that for sure, and a noise or something, because we're talking about TV and stuff so much. So we'll work on that in for you. But spoiler alert for these, we are gonna go deep into them. We're talking about specifics, and we're gonna talk about where we think the show is headed. It's gonna be a lot like we did just with Iron Man in this episode, except I want to make this more conversational. So Andy and Mike, please jump in, interrupt me. And if you see something that you've thought of or you have a note, do not, don't let it pass. Just jump in. I got plenty of notes, and I'll stay on track over here. Starting with episode 1, so much fun. I will say, probably disappointed you, PC Mike, is only 27 minutes. I know that I was like, damn, that's so short. But got to remember, TV show, we're getting a lot of episodes.
I think it was only like 20 minutes because I think there were 7 minutes of credits at the end, but not to.
And I don't know if everyone else was like this, but I was just watching those credits like this. Like, don't miss anything. Like,
I was thinking that these credits are 7 minutes. This has got to be fake. This is like part of the show or something like that. So I watched all 7 minutes just intently. But
I'm sure somebody out there will put something together of doing something at that end, like, oh, if you pause it at 26 minutes, you can see. I'm sure something out there will come.
Yeah, there's people like making fun of some people that are just trying to connect dots that just aren't there. They're like, "Oh, Wanda was in the yard and she always stood on grass." And no. We talked about the end just now, but we didn't talk about the beginning. Guys, there's a brand new Marvel intro. And oh my gosh, it felt so good to see those comic book pages turning again. The music, the dun 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 dun, mixed in with some new, I say new, the last phase of Marvel has been incorporated. You get some Avengers Endgame scenes in there. You get some Infinity War. It looks so great. That was, I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to put into words the feeling that was when that came back on. I thought, man, we're here. Like we're doing this, and it's every single week. Try to contain my excitement and focus on the show. So the first episode drops you in. And it is TV sitcom style. And we all know this. If you're listening, you've seen the show. And Wanda and Vision are in the 50s, I will say, because I think episode 1's the 50s. Episode 2 looks like the 60s. Would you guys agree with that, right?
Yeah, big I Love Lucy vibes in
Yeah.
this one, in this first one.
Yes, absolutely. And it's Vision and Wanda going into their new house, and they're starting a new life. And it's very interesting. They don't remember really much of anything, but they definitely know that they're different. They know that Vision has powers. They know that Wanda has powers, and we just can't show anybody about it. They're trying to live this small, simple life in this TV world, and they're hiding their true identities. There's a date on the calendar that kicks us off with kind of like what's going on in this episode. And it's a heart on the date, August 23rd. And this turns out to be that it's Vision's boss, Mr. Hart, and he's going to be coming over for dinner. And Vision's trying to impress his boss so that he can get a promotion. Now, in the middle of all this, Wanda, we start to meet more characters, and we'll talk a lot more about Mr. Hart here in just a minute, because I want to talk about Vision's company that he works at. So there's some funny stuff there. But Wanda meets her neighbor Agnes, which is played by Catherine Hahn, I believe, and she is just hilarious. And she is this Agnes character. To me, felt like she was showing up to help Wanda. So a lot. Like whenever she started to get into a bind, she was knocking on the back door, knocking on the front door. She's helping prepare for like Wanda thinks that the date on the calendar is their anniversary, and so she needs to prepare this big dinner. Agnes is like, "I'll help you with it." Now, is Agnes a good guy, bad guy? Who is she in this reality? We don't quite know yet, but to me it does seem like they're showing us that she is like an ally to Wanda, at least on the surface. Vision has this job, like this desk job. He's at work, and this is where we first hear the song "Yakety Yak," which they just talk about this song like the whole episode. Yakety yak, talk something about Jack. It's just hilarious. And the Vision's trying to find out what this company does, and I didn't know if this was a clue or not. This is going to be one of those shows where it's like, man, is it a clue or isn't it a clue? But one of the guys that works there actually says, like, hey, man, ever since you got here, productivity's gone up 300%. And Vision's like, what do we even do? And
yeah, but they don't know what they do. And do we think that's because Wanda doesn't know what he does, so we can't fill in those blanks because we're seeing it from her point of view?
That's the other question, too. It's like when Vision's off on his own living, it's like, if this reality was maybe created by Wanda, those are like the big questions we just don't know. Is this a TV reality that Wanda's created? Is it something that somebody else has created? Is it something combination? Because we're going to talk about like the little soundbite of the radio coming through on episode 2, but they allude to who's making you do this, Wanda. So it's like it might seem like somebody's making her do it, and like what does it mean when Vision's off on his own? But for now, this Vision has a conscience. He makes decisions. He has thoughts. They don't know.
And with Yakety Yak, I just looked it up. It was released in 1959, so that fits right into this is around the 50s.
Yeah, and it's like an actual song. We get a nice little piece where Vision sings the song, entertaining the Mr. and Mrs. Hart. So let's talk about Mr. and Mrs. Hart, because this is obviously a crucial character, two characters that are crucial in the show. Again, this is he's got to have them over to the house. They're going to have dinner, and they got to impress the boss. And before we get there, though, there are commercials in this show, but they're created by by Marvel Studios. They're not real commercials. They're actually commercials from the 60s. This one was about the Toastmate 2000. Has some shine. Get some style and taste get some style and taste into your toast. It's made by Stark Industries. It's kind of an awkward ad where it like beeps a few times as they make the thing. Forget the past. This is your future is the tagline. Then it comes back to the show. What'd you guys think of the ads they placed in there?
Yeah, that one weirded me out. And I think that the like blinking of it and the noise that the toaster made was like the same as when Tony Stark in Iron Man 1 when the one of his missiles exploded and messed him up for like the first 5 minutes of the movie. Did you get that vibe as well?
It's funny. I didn't connect that specific dot, but I was thinking, okay, this is either a clue to something. Is it a sound that is from another movie? Is it something that's happening like near Wanda, wherever she really is? I definitely had like an inkling that it meant something.
Because if you just compare it, like obviously her parents died in front of them, where obviously a Stark missile exploded, killed her parents, and then they're in I think it was Ultron, her and her brother, I guess one landed in their room also, but it never went off. So that's kind of like maybe shows like the difference of one side versus the other. And I don't know. That could be something that's very etched in her brain, like that happening and that sound, or that's just my take. But that's something I noticed. But we'll have to see in the next 7 episodes, I guess.
That's deep, Andy. You're going deep.
Yeah, because you know why? Because we've learned after watching these MCU films so much that there's a lot of stuff like that buried in throughout. So like we're almost more prepared to notice that kind of stuff, and that's why this show is so good, because you're almost playing this game of, okay, what matters in terms of like moving the story ahead, and what is maybe just parts of Wanda's memory or tragedies that are like affecting the reality. I love that thought. So moving on in the storyline, dinner time does come. The Harts, the boss, played by Fred Melamed, and then the wife, Mrs. Hart, played by Deborah Jo Rupp. She's the mom from that 70s show. Kitty, of course. Kitty Foreman, so great. She's excellent in this show. It's like she's, it's basically the same TV sitcom character, just more like a lot of fun, bubbly. There's a lot of pressure for this dinner to go right. And Mr. Hart says at one point to Vision, we don't break bread with bullshitters. They do acknowledge Wanda being Sokovian, which I thought was, really interesting. Like she's wearing the nightgown when they come in, and Vision says like, oh, it's a Sokovian thing. So they definitely remember a lot about themselves, but they don't remember like anything about how they got there. And it seems like when they start to remember, like the magic of the place just helps them keep moving along and keep smiling and just keep doing what you're doing.
I love, like, I know it's a little back, but when the boss is like, this is so important, he's talking about that one guy, and he's like, you didn't even have good entertainment. He's like, the string quartet? He's like, I thought 5 courses would be enough. And then he calls him a beatnik, which the beatniks are from the 50s. And he's like, I just wore a turtleneck.
Yeah, I love that. I wore a turtleneck, and he's got the mustache.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But that kind of hit me with like the 50s vibe again. Calling somebody a beatnik fits right in line with your 50s type of sitcom.
Yeah, and the lingo, and even Vision like incorporates some of that old lingo a little bit as he talks. There's more about the job. Mr. Hart talks about analyzing input and output. Vision's like, what do we actually do? He's like, this is it. He's like, are you dense? He's like, huh. Agnes is showing up to help again and again, trying to help with this dinner, comes back later and helps. Vision sings Yakety Yak, keeps them busy while Wanda's trying to make this dinner, but she just can't do it. Like, really struggling to make this dinner. I was just like, man, just make the dinner. You got magic. What's taking so long? And I didn't know if we were supposed to notice that, like it was something that she couldn't like quite get a grasp on. Maybe it didn't matter. I don't know.
I thought the same thing. I don't. She can't she just snap her fingers and have a meal there? I don't
Right?
know.
Because she like puts on the dress. She like it's like Agnes shows up again when they get in a bind later, and then this is where we're moving right through this episode. It was quick. It felt quick even watching it. They finally get it together. All the food's done. And then here come the questions. So Mr. and Mrs. Hart are asking Wanda and Vision questions. And if you listen, I noticed on the rewatch, I wrote them all down. They ask, where did you come from? They ask, what did you do before here? Something like that. When did you get married? How come you're not you don't have
Kids.
Yeah, children. Why don't you have children? And they're like trying to remember, and they really, really can't. They really can't remember. And Mr. Hart kind of loses his temper and says, why did you come here? And this is the question he lands on. Why did you come here? And he screams, why? Why? He has like this fit. And he starts like choking. And he's like holding his neck. And Wanda and Vision are just kind of sitting, ignoring it, looking at each other. And the Mrs. Hart, she's like, stop it, Arthur. You're embarrassing me. And just says, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Over and over and over. And the guy is making this crazy weird noise. He almost sounds like a demon or something. And he's choking, falls down to the ground. Wanda and Vision still keeping eye contact, like almost like they're trying to ignore it. They're like, don't help him. Like, don't help him. And the lady's looking at Wanda going, stop it. And if you look back and you rewatch that scene, she is looking at Wanda going, stop it, stop it, stop it. And then Wanda says, almost more in her regular Sokovian voice, not an accent, but definitely more of her solid tone. She said, help him, Vision. And Vision jumps down, phases through, pulls it out, get it up, he's fine, and it's time to go. They're time to wrap it on out of there. Holy moly, I'm sure the deep cut comic book nerds might know exactly who these people are. I am like, they're trying to figure it out. Who are these people? Giggler, what did you think of this scene? Do you know anything about these folks?
No, I have no clue. I was really weirded out by the scene, like the way that she was saying "stop it." Like, like I'd almost felt like she didn't want it to stop. I don't know. For a second, I was like, did she want him to choke, or what is happening? Like, I really just hope that I've never really had like work people over for like a dinner party, but I hope that if I ever do, it goes much better than this.
What did you think, PC Mike? Were you super weirded out at this point?
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing here? Why don't you stop it? It's your husband. But I mean, I'm sure we're going to look into it a little deeper, but stop it. Like, Wanda, stop this. Let's go back to where we need to be. Stop this charade of this fake life that you're trying to do to make him still be here. I don't know. Something like that has to be kind of a key in this for me.
That feels really right, because she was looking at her and she was saying like, stop it, and it's like, okay, it doesn't, you got to take some of the logic out of these encounters, right? Because it's not like they're actually eating dinner at a table. It's like this weird TV cosmic reality, and like really anything can happen. And it wasn't weird. He stood up, he leaves, and he even tells Vision, we'll be talking about that promotion. So Vision, did a good job. This is where they sit down, camera comes in close, and we get like this intimate part with Vision and Wanda just having a dialogue saying, we're not married, we don't have an anniversary, we don't have rings, we don't have a song. And they say, well, this is our new anniversary, this is our song, Yakety Yak. And she makes 2 rings, they're married, and they're gonna say they're gonna try to make this life here, and they're gonna be married and live in in Westview is the name of the town. Okay. As we end the show, zooms out from the TV. They're smiling at it. There are some names that, like, who it was made by. Babe Digsby, Abe Brown, Leonard Hooper. I didn't look up who they were, but I need to. I didn't, like, it says, like, WandaVision brought to you by, but it was, like, on the TV, in the TV, so I didn't know if those were real people or if it was, like, a Easter egg. So fans, let us know. Maybe you know that. They got out to this van, I think it was a van, but definitely someone watching the WandaVision show on their TV. There's a journal on the ground, and this is the first time we see. Oh, and there's also a Rodecaster Pro, just like the one I own. I was like, hey, I have that.
I noticed that too. I was like, oh, that's Logan Studio. Cool.
And there's a sword journal. And if you don't know what sword is, I only know because I've heard all the rumors for the past year. It's like the new shield. It's like the new shield that's coming in, and there's this sword logo on this journal as if they're watching WandaVision live. We don't know what the role is, if they're trying to rescue him, if they're just keeping spy. Maybe they're the ones that caused this. I have no idea. I know that as it ended, I was excited just to get episode 2 going. So as we wrap up episode 1, before we jump into episode 2, Giggler, overall thoughts on the first episode. What did you think of that ending?
Yeah, it was short, but I feel like they fit a lot in there for the time that it was. They used good. I mean, like I said, I laughed a lot. Like, I think we didn't touch on this, but the phone call that they had when Vision was thinking it was the dinner, and Wanda was talking about she was thinking it was anniversary, so they were like talking about what they were going to do that night or whatever, and that whole call was hilarious. I love that. I'm just so excited for what's going forward here. It's I mean, this is just the first out of is there 8 or 9 episodes? I don't
even know. I didn't know. I don't think I've seen like how many there will be, and I rarely even know that as the show starts. I just think about like, oh, that's the day it starts.
Just however many there are, it's not enough because I want one every day.
Yeah, I'll talk about this more at the end at the episode 2, but yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that I think this show is leading to a place that's going to break a lot of our hearts. We're going to be sad to see it in. But before we get there, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. PC Mike, what'd you think of episode 1? Anything, any final thoughts before we move on to the second episode?
Yeah, so episode 1, I didn't know what to expect. Went in kind of blind, but watching it, adding the online stuff and talking just this through with you guys and kind of doing my own research and looking, I'm intrigued. I want to see where it goes. So as you were doing that, I put in a chat too, but A. Brown is actually in the...
Wow. Okay. So just so you know, Mike, you were cutting out like digitally pretty rough for a minute, but you came back in. I do hear an echo from me now, if you don't mind muting. And you said that in Marvel Comics, A. Brown, martial artist with a code name Black Tiger. He's from the streets of Harlem, who's a member of the Sons of Tigers. MCU canon, A. Brown is actually a character from Spider-Man Homecoming, who's played by Abram Atta. Brown served as one of the Peter Parker's classmates from Midtown School of Science and Technology, and he later survived Thanos' scab. Well, you went down the rabbit hole here. Where did you say you found this?
The Direct was the website I found it.
Very cool. I love getting these connections for yeah, I don't know what happened there, but it was like a digital gargle.
Technology, right?
Yeah, we'll leave it in. It wasn't that bad. I think people will just be laughing at you, if anything. All right, cool. Well, appreciate the tie-in. Of course, always appreciate PC Mike looking us up, seeing what connects. I'll say, I definitely loved Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen in this, and it was a great first episode. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about episode 2 and get ready for episode 3 of WandaVision. So stick around. We'll be right